Hey everybody, Snare here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Gris, going for the collectibles in the form of the Mementos. There's going to be a total of 28 of them spread throughout the game. We're going to start out in Chapter 1. Chapter 1 has a single one that we can grab. Make sure you play the chapter up to this point. You're going to get to this part where the game is going to ask you to collect the constellation bits in order to build a bridge to get across this gap. Once you get to this point, the game is going to ask you to go over to the left to grab the constellation bit in the tower right here, which is going to require you to head even farther to the left. You're going to need to climb this leaning tower right over here, so make sure you make your way up the spiraling staircase. Once you get to the top, the game is going to ask you to drop down towards the right to grab the constellation bit in that tower. Instead of going that way, you're going to want to turn your attention to the left and then drop down this way. You're going to float on down and then land on this dome right here, and then you will find your first memento. Your mementos are going to look like these, basically a bunch of circles orbiting one another. Walk over to it to pick it up, and that should wrap it up for Chapter 1. Moving on to Chapter 2. This one's going to be right at the start of the chapter. You're going to have that big slide to introduce yourself into said chapter. That's going to culminate with the title card at the top of that tower, where you're going to need to drop down again. Once you land, you're going to want to turn your attention over to the left, so make sure you turn around and then head this way. And then once you get as far as you can over to the left right here, there's going to be your next memento in this circular rock archway. So, fair warning for the next one. This one is going to be pretty missable. You're going to get to the end of this platforming segment right here and then enter this rock. The rock is going to sprout legs and start moving. You are going to see the collectible right there in the upper right bit of the inside of the rock. What you need to do is you need to quickly make it up these staircases and then grab that collectible before the rock can make its end destination. So you're going to have to make it to the top right here and then drop down this gap and then grab it on your way down. Now, if you miss the collectible and the rock happens to hit its endpoint right here, you are going to get a checkpoint, which means you cannot pick it up in this playthrough. You are going to unlock Chapter Select after beating the game, so you can come back and grab the collectibles at any time, but you are going to have to wait until you beat the entire game first before coming back to any of the collectibles, but do keep that in mind. Nevertheless, we are going to move on. After leaving the moving rock, you're going to continue down this path, which is going to result in a drop. As you are making this drop, you are going to notice the third collectible right over here. Unfortunately, you cannot pick it up quite just yet. You are going to need to wait until you unlock the first ability, which thankfully is only a short walk away. So make sure you continue to cross the desert until you get to this tower. This is going to be where you unlock your first ability in the form of the block form, so make sure you learn that, and then once you have it, you should be able to backtrack and then grab that collectible from earlier. Alright, so once you are able to find your way back, what you want to do is you want to make sure you jump up to the higher bit. You are going to notice there's going to be some cracks above the collectible. This is going to be where your block form is going to come in handy. Jump high, turn into the block, and that should allow you to smash open the cracks, which is going to allow you to grab the collectible on the way down. And then once we have that, we should be able to continue our journey across the desert. So eventually you're going to make your way into the temple. This is going to be as you are leaving the temple. So once you get back outside into the desert, you're going to have this platforming bit just outside. The next collectible is going to be just above you right here. What you need to do is you need to make sure you make your way up to the top point of this little platforming bit right here in the middle. Do keep in mind you are still going to have the sandstorms to deal with, so if they start blowing, make sure you do turn into your block form so you can just wait it out, but you are going to need to use the sandstorm in order to get the collectible, which is going to involve you getting to the highest point of the tower. You are going to need to time when a sandstorm blows in, and you are going to basically use the sandstorm to float on over to where the collectible is. So just make sure you wait right over here at the highest point. Make sure you wait for the sandstorm to start blowing in, and then you're going to jump, catch the sandstorm, and your goal is to use it to float on over to where the collectible is. Make sure you grab it, and that's going to be another one to our collection. So, as you are making your way into the later half of the chapter, you're going to get to this clock tower area. You're going to start out by working on the left side of the tower, which is going to take you out here. You're going to get up to this structure where you need to use your block form in order to tilt it towards this windmill. You're going to jump into the bottom of the windmill and then take the staircases up. Then you're supposed to take this slanted part to grab the constellation bit. What you can do is you can use your block power to re-straighten out this bit of the structure, and then that's going to allow you to walk across and then jump to the top of the windmill. Make sure you cross this top room right here, and then once you get to the other side, you can take these rocks up to the blades of the windmill, and then you can ride these all the way to the top, which is going to allow you to get to the top of the tilting structure. So you're going to have to jump on the roof of the windmill because you can't ride a single blade all the way around. So just make sure you get off and then make sure you take another blade all the way across. Grab that collectible up top, which is also going to give you a better vantage point on grabbing the constellation bit. So do take advantage of it while you're up here. So, logically, what comes next is going to be the opposite side of the clock tower, which is going to be the right side. You're going to take this hallway, and then this is going to take you back outside. On this right side is going to be some platforming, which is going to take you higher up the tower. So, make sure you make your way forward. All right, so as you are climbing up, you're going to get to this part right here with this domed tower. So make sure you look for the dome with the cracks in it. This is going to be where the platforming starts to happen. So you're going to take these rocks to the top of this dome. You're going to use your block power in order to break open this dome, which is going to build a staircase, which is going to allow you to head higher up. So make sure you go higher up. You want to make sure you stop right here. You are supposed to go to the left. However, if you drop down on the right, you're going to be able to grab the next collectible. So make sure you do that. Just make sure you take this little detour. This little windmill blade should catch you, so don't worry about falling off. But in this building is going to be where your next collectible is going to be. Next collectible up in Chapter 2 is going to take place with the balloon puzzle. You're going to break open the bottom part, which is going to free the balloon. Then you're going to need to race up the tower that's going to be right next to it. So make sure you zigzag your way all the way to the tippy top. Your goal is to basically lower the balloon enough so you can grab the constellation bit right here, just below the topmost platform. So make sure you get that one out of the way because this is going to be part of the story, of course. So just use your block power. Make sure you lower the balloon just below, as you are going to need it to have enough room to make a jump, and the balloon is going to be ascending as you're doing this, so make sure you give yourself enough space to clear that jump. So once you grab the constellation bit, you actually have another thing that you need to do with the balloon in order to get the collectible. So it's going to be back into the tower, back up to the top platform. Make sure you get back onto the balloon. You're going to need to use your block powers to lower it again. This time around, you're going to want to ride it all the way to the bottom, so as low as it can go. Once you get this thing as low as it can go, you're going to need some pretty quick fingers for this next part. So what's going to happen is you're going to get off on the right, and your goal is to race the balloon all the way to the top. You're going to need to beat it by hitting up that topmost platform of the balloon, and this is going to basically allow you to jump across onto these rocks right here, so make sure you do that. Hopefully you are quick enough and make it. Once you are able to make it onto these rocks right here, you can make it onto this rock. You're going to use your block power again in order to make a bridge, which is going to allow you to head onto the structure in the background right here, and then on said structure is going to be your next collectible. If you aren't able to catch the balloon on time, just make sure you try again. Thankfully, this one is not going to be missable, as you are going to have as many attempts at this as you want, so do keep that in mind. That should also be the last collectible for Chapter 2, which is going to allow us to move on to the ones in Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is going to start with this very scenic forest crawl. You're going to make your way to the disappearing trees right here, which is going to involve some platforming. So get on the rock and make sure you do time those tree jumps right here. Now, for the story, you are going to just be required to get off on the stone walkway right here. However, the collectible is going to require you to make it all the way to the top, so make sure you continue up this way. Make sure you get on this tree while it's a triangle, then get off at this rest stop. Jump across when it's a square, then you're going to need to time these jumps right here. You can jump on this left one, then quickly jump back to the middle, and then back to the higher one on the left, which should allow you to clear that last jump, allowing you to get the collectible right here atop this tree. So eventually you're going to get to this part, you're going to drop down, then you're going to find this dome right here with the red tree. You're going to need to wait until this part becomes a triangle. That's going to allow you to take it up to the middle bush of the tree. Once you are there, you're going to need to make your way back to the left in order to grab the next collectible. So jump back on the previous bush while it's a square, and then you're going to need to time these two bushes right here. So make sure you make your way onto the left one while they're both squares, and then jump as this one's materializing, and that should allow you to grab the collectible right here above this bush. So the level is eventually going to take you into this domed area where you're going to learn how to butterfly jump. You're going to butterfly jump into this room with the pillars. You are supposed to go to the left, however, you can go right as we're going to need to take this little detour in order to find the next collectible. So make sure you go all the way to the end of this hallway. Once you hit the dead end, you're going to want to use your block powers in order to break open this vase, which is going to reveal some more butterflies. Make sure you butterfly jump up to this secret room, and inside said secret room is going to be your next collectible, so make sure you grab that one. Moving on, as we progress through this building, we're going to get to this circular room right here where we're going to have the timed butterfly jumps. What you need to do is you need to make sure you wait for a butterfly to circle next to you. You're going to jump towards the butterfly using a double jump. Use the butterfly jump to get onto this bush. Then you're going to wait for another one to pass by. Use a butterfly jump to get up higher into this room. Then we're going to take another detour in order to find our next collectible. So make sure you take a right. You're going to get to this part with the cracks, use your block power to break this open, which is going to take you back down. And then once you are here, take a right and then grab the collectible in this tower. So as we are making our way to the top of this area, we're going to get to the climactic bird chase sequence. The bird is going to materialize right here on the right. The bird is going to roar, and you're basically going to block it by using your block powers. So make sure you do that whenever the bird starts to roar. Then we're going to need to butterfly jump higher up the building right here, so make sure you do that. Once you get up to this level, this is going to be where the collectible is going to be. Make sure you get onto this bush and then get onto this bit. The bird is going to materialize right here on the right. So in order to get the collectible, what you're going to need to do is you want to make sure you have the bird roar, and instead of blocking it using your block powers, you're going to want to jump into it and then ride it all the way to the right. Now, you are going to have to get the distance right, so make sure you try to stand as far to the right as possible. You're also going to need to make sure you jump into it, because if you are just standing, you're just going to have your character roll back. So make sure you stand on the far right and then jump into it as it's roaring, and you should catch enough distance to ride it across the gap and then grab the collectible in this tower. Then we're going to get back onto the main track. We're going to basically use our block powers in order to avoid the bird roar as we normally would. Then we're going to butterfly jump up to the higher part and just continue on the main path as we are normally supposed to. So make sure you turn to the right and then just keep heading up the building. You're going to get to this part right here where the bird is going to roar you straight up. Once you get to this part, you're going to drop down, and the next collectible is actually going to be very close by. So make sure you continue on. You are going to get to this part where you're going to have a series of butterfly jumps in order to get to the top of this tree right here. So make sure you take those. You are going to need to stop once you get to the topmost bush, as you're going to have the next collectible off just to the left of us. So make sure you use this butterfly jump to get to this bush. Once you get to this bush, you're going to drop down, use that same set of butterflies to get over this tower, and then float on into this one. And this is going to be where the collectible is going to be found. So make sure you grab that one, and then we can move on. Next one up is going to be the last one for Chapter 3. It's going to be as we are transitioning in to Chapter 4. You're going to be in this rainy part of the forest. You're going to want to take the higher path where you're making your way across the trees right here. So make sure you do that. Nothing too bad. You're going to need to double jump and then float on over to these butterflies. Use the butterfly jump to get onto this tree. Then you're going to want to gingerly float down to this tree. then you are basically going to stick to the high ground as best as you can using those butterfly jumps to get across, but you want to make sure you keep on up until you get to this domed building. Once you are here, you should be able to use your block power to break this open. You should be able to catch yourself right here on this tree, which should allow you to jump across onto this one and then grab the last collectible for Chapter 3. All right, on to chapter 4. We're going to start out right here with the big main feature, which is going to be the tree. We're going to drop into the water and then swim our way over to the right. We're going to go spelunking into these caves right here. So make sure you make your way down this path, and then eventually you're going to end up in this area with the bunch of mushrooms. So do a big old slide all the way down to the bottom, and then we're going to have a little bit of a platforming segment right here. So up the mushrooms we go. You want to make sure you take this exact path. So it's going to be up to this rock right here. Once you are here, we're going to then head up this staircase of mushrooms. So make sure you staircase as far as you can go going left. Once you notice the mushrooms have stopped ascending in this particular direction, you're going to want to stop on that mushroom. So once you are on this particular mushroom right here on the left, you're going to want to use your block power on it. It's going to spit out a bunch of butterflies, which you can use a butterfly jump on. This is going to take you higher up into this body of water right here. You're going to want to swim all the way to the top, which is going to spit you out in this secret area. And then once you are here, you're going to have these two mushrooms, which are going to contain the next collectible atop the higher one. So make sure you grab that one, and then back to the main path we go. So keep moving forward, and eventually you're going to hit the main feature of this particular level, which is going to be the swimming part. So once you are able to hit the water in your newly acquired stingray form, you're going to swim on down, and then on your way down, you're going to have a nice little detour off to the right that you can take, and you definitely want to make sure you take this detour as it's going to lead to a collectible. The turn for the detour is going to be right after you pass through this narrow slit right here. So once you pass through that slit, that's going to be your cue to take that hard right and then grab the collectible right here in this alcove. Once you grab that, you're going to continue swimming down until you get to the next part of the main feature, which is going to be the big ol' constellation bit hunt. Alright, so once you get to the part where you need to slot the constellation bits, you're going to need to find the rest of them first, obviously. The main gimmick of this part is you are allowed to do these in any order. We're going to tackle the paths that have collectibles tied to them first. So we're going to start out by going down this path, which is going to be directly to the right of the place where you slot the bits. You're going to want to swim up to this part, then you're going to head on to dry land, and then you're going to continue to the right until you get to the palace right here. As you can see, the collectible is going to be right there in the upper part of the palace, which is going to require that we swim around and then drop in from the top. So the next thing that we're going to need to do is we need to make sure we drop down into the water, which is going to be right here, the bottom right corner of the palace. This is going to take us into the bottom part of the palace where we're supposed to grab the constellation bit. So make sure you take care of that. This is, of course, part of the story, so can't really miss this. But once you get the constellation part, you can actually swim further down. Alright, so that's going to be exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to swim on down, and this is going to take us into this tunnel right here. Eventually, you're going to get to this part where the path is going to split. What you want to do is you want to make sure you take the lower part of the fork into this corner right here where the smoke is. Grab the butterflies and then pass through the seaweed part, which is going to be the upper part of the fork. Once you get to this next fork, you're going to want to swim to the left. You're going to swim into this tunnel, which is going to loop around. At the end of this loop, what you need to do is you need to make sure you dive out of the water, and in midair, you're going to need to do a butterfly jump. Hopefully, you should be able to have enough momentum to carry you all the way to the top, which is going to put you in this body of water. Make sure you swim all the way to the end, which is going to spit you out at the top of the palace, which is going to be where you're going to grab the next collectible. Then we're going to continue on with the story, which is basically going to mean we're going to complete the constellation bit hunt. Then we're going to have the big ol' eel chase towards the end of the level. It's going to be split into two parts. The next collectible is going to be found in the little break that you get between the two halves of the eel chase. So the first half is going to end with this part right here, where the eel is going to spit all of the little eels at you, and you're going to be swimming through this darkness, and then eventually you're going to be in this area where things start to light up again with all of these jellyfish. So you're basically going to fumble your way around the jellyfish. Just make sure you follow the lights until you are able to take them up to the tunnel right here. You're going to follow this tunnel. You're going to want to pay very close attention to the layout of the tunnel because there's going to be a very specific spot that we need to stop. So make sure you follow this exact path. It's going to be pretty linear so you can't get lost. However, it is going to be important that we stop where we need to stop. So the key landmark you are looking for is going to be this particular plant next to this particular stone formation. Once you are in this corner right here, you're going to want to start paying attention as the collectible is going to be nearby and very missable. So from this landmark, we're going to continue on the main path, but this time we're going to be on high alert. So make sure you stay on your toes for this one. You're going to want to definitely follow the natural geometry of the left side. So just make sure you take things nice and slow and then just follow things along through here. Once you get to this corner, you're going to want to take a sharp left and you want to make sure you fidget around until you are able to pass through this tunnel, which is going to lead into this alcove where the next collectible is going to be. Very missable, so make sure you are paying attention when this turn comes up. All right, last one for this particular chapter. We're going to say goodbye to our little turtle friend after he helps us out, and then we're going to be back on foot. So this is going to end up with us leaving the water, thankfully. We're going to slide down these tunnels right here, and we're going to end up at this ice palace area. Once you are here, you're just going to pass by, continuing on to the left. After the Ice Palace is going to be this bioluminescence room, so make sure you platform up to the top where you need to go. Alright, so after all that sightseeing, you're going to get to this room with the open light right here. Make sure you get past that. You're going to climb up these pots, and then you're going to have a butterfly jump. You're going to use this to get past this area, and eventually you're going to end up back in the water. So what you're going to need to do is you need to make sure you do one of those diving jumps going to the right here. This is going to put you in this area with some more butterflies. You're going to ride these butterflies up. So make sure you butterfly jump up here. That's going to put you in this body of water. Then instead of going to the left, what you need to do is you need to make sure you turn around and then you're going to need to do a diving jump going to the right. You should be able to catch yourself and then land in this alcove. And then this is going to be where the next collectible is going to be. So right over here, make sure you grab that, and that's going to wrap up this chapter in terms of collectibles. Finally, we can move on to Chapter 5. This is going to be the last chapter to feature any collectibles, thankfully, so we are almost at the finish line. We're going to start out right here in the beginning of the chapter and then work our way up. You're going to have quite the journey before the first collectible, so just make sure you follow the path the best you can. Said path is going to eventually lead to you ascending up this waterfall. Once you get to the next level, we're going to head to the right. You're going to continue going right, and then you're going to get to the very frustrating disappearing building puzzle. So in order to get this next collectible, we're going to need to get to the end of the puzzle, and we're going to need to take a quick little detour. So make sure you hit up the first set of sparkles, which is going to put you in this part of the building. Then we're going to quickly need to make our way down to the second set of sparkles in order to regenerate the building. That should also rocket you up to this higher level right here. Now, normally you're supposed to take these pillars to get back onto solid land. However, in order to get the collectible, you're going to need to take this detour. Make sure you get to the top of the disappearing building and let it disappear so you can fall down. You're going to need to catch yourself on this set of butterflies and then use the subsequent set of butterflies to propel yourself up to this tower right here. Then we're going to float gingerly down to this tower and then grab the collectible right over here. Then we're going to drop down on the left and then continue back onto the main path. You should be able to land on solid land, and then we're going to move forward. So make sure you continue your way towards the left. You are then going to get to this part right here where you need to use your block powers in order to break open the cracks here. That's going to take you down, and then you're going to use this set of butterflies to propel yourself up. Use the next set of butterflies to get even higher, and then eventually you're going to end up in this body of water. Next collectible up is going to be to the left. We're going to need to do a big old jump, so make sure you grab the butterflies right here. We're going to need to do a diving jump and then use the butterflies to propel ourselves all the way over this tower. So make sure you try to land it, and then if you can pull off the jump, you should land over here, and you should be able to grab the next collectible right over here. Alright, we are going to need to play quite a ways into the game a bit, but basically we're going to get to this next part where we're going to ascend higher up the level. Once you get to this next little hub area where you're going to need to insert these constellation bits, we're going to take the left path first. So this path is eventually going to take you to this butterfly jump, which is going to put you in the upside down part. We're going to drop up, and then we're going to continue this forward until we get back to right side up. So once you end up back right side up, which is going to be after this butterfly jump, you're going to have this part where you're going to basically go back and forth between the two. So make sure you are paying attention because the next collectible is going to be coming up. You are going to float on over to this butterfly jump and then use it to get down here. Once you land here, instead of going to the right, you're going to take this detour down and to the left. This is going to reveal a hidden passage, which you can take all the way over to this butterfly jump, which you are going to use to grab the next collectible. So we're going to keep playing, and then once we assemble the constellation bits, that should give us our new power in the form of the Sing. The Sing is going to basically allow us to let flowers bloom, which are going to reveal extra platforms or extra butterflies, which we can use to get higher up. So we're going to start up by heading over to the left first, so make sure with your newly acquired powers, you start heading in this direction. Once you pass the big light up tree, you're going to want to stop right here. You're going to have a spot where you can use your Sing. Make sure you use it to get this set of butterflies active. Use these guys to butterfly jump over to the right. You're going to Sing again to get this flower open, which is going to give you another set of butterflies. Use these guys to get straight up, and then we're going to have this platforming bit right here with yet another disappearing city. So make sure you try to time this well, but you're going to drop down towards the bottom bit, and then you're going to get to the left, back to the center. Hopefully you can get to this set of butterflies in time, which should allow you to float up top, and then one last big jump to land here and then grab the next collectible. Next one up, we're going to get to another upside down part. This is going to be when you take this butterfly jump right here, and then once you land up here, we're going to drop down towards the left, float all the way up, and then we're going to take this staircase right up here. And then we're going to basically make our way over to this set of butterflies. You're going to butterfly jump down and catch yourself right here. Then it's going to be off to the right where you're going to use this set of butterflies to butterfly jump down here. That should set the world back to right side up. Once you are here, you're going to want to drop down to the right instead of heading up the stairs. The collectible is going to be right there behind that pillar. It's going to require us to do a big old zigzag, so make sure you head down here to this corner. You're going to need to butterfly jump, but you need to make sure you stop your jump halfway using your block power so you don't jump all the way to the top. So make sure you stop yourself in the middle, which is going to allow you to jump over this gap and then grab the next collectible. Next one up, we're going to be Stingray Swimming. We're going to grab this set of butterflies, which is going to allow us to jump up to this watery tree, which is going to allow us to do a big old diving jump to get to the next part of the game, which is going to be another upside down bit. So once you land in this body of water, we're going to exit on the right, and then we're going to head this way. Next, we're going to take this staircase until we get to this set of butterflies. We're going to use these to drop down. We're going to need to drop up, and then we're going to need to catch ourselves right here in this hallway. Next, you're going to want to drop straight up on the right, and then the collectible should just be on your left. So make sure you turn and then grab it right over here. Next one up, we're going to get over this disappearing bridge, and then we're going to hit this dead end where we're going to need to use our block power to drop down. That's going to start another Stingray Swimming segment. From here, we're going to need to swim down this watery hallway, and then once we get out into open water right over here, we're going to need to swim straight down. And then we're going to have another hallway right here that we can take. So make sure you take this one all the way to the right. That's going to allow you to dip down. And then this is going to take you down this waterfall, which is going to eventually put you into this watery tree area. We're going to need to do a diving jump over to the left and then go straight up. Once you are here, you're going to need to do a big dive up and then grab the collectible right over there under that archway. So we should now be down to the final collectible. This one's going to take place at this moment. Once you get to this part where you're going to do this thing, which is going to cause this cutscene to happen, you're going to want to let things play out. Basically, these constellation things are going to rotate, and then eventually you're going to drop down onto the roof of this building. Once you are here, you're going to want to turn to the left, and then you're going to jump on down here. Once you are here, you're going to keep pressing to the left, and eventually you're going to hit a body of water. You're going to need to jump over this pillar, and then you're going to want to dive back into the water. You're going to need to swim through this one, and the collectible is just going to be on the other side. Make sure you grab that. This is going to be the last one of the game. As soon as you pocket this one, you should be good for the achievement to grab all of them. This one is going to be called Mementos for 55 gamer score. Now that we have all of the mementos, there's actually going to be another achievement that we're going to use them for. So that's going to require us to swim back onto dry land. So just make sure you backtrack the way you came. You should have this staircase right here that's going to allow you to get back onto solid land. So make sure you take this up. And then once you are here, you're going to want to keep going to the right. And we're basically going to backtrack all the way up to the roof that we came down from. So just make sure you keep taking the staircases and the butterfly jumps up until you get to the domed roof. Once you are back, you can actually drop down the left side of the dome. There should be an opening that you can slide on through, so make sure you do that. And then once inside, if you happen to have all of the collectible mementos with you, what you can do is you can slot them right over here. You do that by using your singing power. So hold down that button and make sure you sing, and then eventually this thing should light up, given that you have all of the mementos. That's going to basically end with you getting a bonus cutscene that we're not going to spoil, but once that cutscene is over, you should be good for this achievement. This one is going to be called the Childhood Achievement. It's for 120 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.